through your freedom.
Well, Prepper, looks like we were right. It's hit the fan. So let's dive in and talk about it.
You want answers?
I think I'm entitled.
You want answers?
I want the truth!
You can't handle the truth.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to the Prepared Mind channel. It is Monday afternoon. It's time for the monologue and the Q and the A. That's question and answer with you guys. You get to ask the questions on Patreon. I really want as many people from YouTube to just come on over to Patreon. Patreon.com. Come to the Prepared Mind there. It's only $2 a month, and it helps support our efforts, our work. A lot of people think this is a lot of fun. I'll tell you what, it is not. This is not any fun. I mean, I enjoy my work, but it's not fun. I would rather be at a bar or at the beach or maybe snowboarding down a mountain. Something fun. Wouldn't we all rather do something fun than SHTF? Yeah, no kidding, right? Well, anyways, folks, it's worldwide. It's worldwide. Now, I want to ask you a question. What's next? Well, we've got a former Russian president, Medvedev. He's warning of some very, very bad things. I think you and I as preppers, I think you and I as Americans, I think you and I as living beings ought to take a listen. Now, Medvedev kind of outlined 10 bullet points, basically of how the West and the United States in specific is harming ourselves and the world economy with their sanctions. This is what he has to say. What will happen next, or the world after anti-Russian sanctions? He says there's 10 bullet points. Number one, a number of global supply chains of goods will collapse. A major logistical crisis is possible. Are we seeing any evidence of that, folks? Global supply chains collapsing. Now, he's saying as a result of the Russian sanctions, they've just started. Can this get worse? Oh, yeah, right. Number two, the energy crisis will intensify in those states that have imposed, quote, shooting their own feet. Sanctions on the supply of Russian energy, further growth in fossil fuel prices will continue, and the world will slow down. Number three, a full-fledged international food crisis will come with the prospect of starvation in individual countries. Do we have any evidence of any of this happening, folks? Have you seen any signs? I grow weary of critics who have criticized you, criticized me, criticized all of us, saying we're shouting and we're saying the sky is falling and STFU, you bunch of preppers, you're so stupid and paranoid. Do you see any evidence now of it hitting the fan? A monetary and financial crisis, number four, is possible in some countries, right? High inflation, destruction of the legal system for protecting private property. Yeah, we've seen plenty of that. Five, new regional military conflicts will arise in places where the situation has not peacefully been resolved. Oh, we'll talk about some more of this later. I got some new news for you there. Number six, says Medvedev, terrorists are becoming more active. They're becoming more active, he says, because Western authorities have their attention diverted to Russia. So I guess terrorists, you know, they see this as an opportunity to act up. And then he says this, new epidemics will begin, caused by the rejection of honest international cooperation in the sanitary, in epidemiological sphere, or by direct facts of the use of bioweapons. It's an interesting little prediction. Either people are going to reject the West and their lies, or we could have actual bioweapons being used. Hey, how about this? How about both, Medvedev? Number 8, there will be a decline in the activities of international institutions, right? For example, the Council of Europe, international institutions that were supposed to bring about peace, diplomacy, they've failed, decline in their activities. And new international alliances of countries based on pragmatism rather than Anglo-Saxon criteria. That is a very interesting comment considering the West, Europe, North America, the United States proper, Australia, etc., Japan, have an Anglo-Saxon core. Right? Washington, D.C., London, New York City, City of London. Number 10, as a result of the new security architecture, which de facto and then de jure the existing realities are recognized. The weakness of westernized concepts of international relations, such as order based on rules and other senseless Western junk. This is not me, folks. This is not my extremism. This is a prediction that is based upon the thoughts of someone who doesn't prescribe to the ideology coming out of NATO and the European Union and the United States government. He says the collapse of the idea of an America-centric world. Folks, that includes currency, that includes concepts of what is fair and what is right. Medvedev has kind of painted a gloomy picture, right? Kind of a pivot away from the Cold War international order. We've got a new Cold War coming, folks. This idea that America gets to dominate everything in the planet as the sole superpower, it has now played itself out. What do you think of that? The collapse of a US-centric world. Anyways, get your questions into Jolene. Get them in the comment section. Post them, paste them, copy them. Somehow get them to her, and we'll talk about them in the second half of the show. Right? Second half of the show. We've got some more interesting things there. I hinted at what is going on. And we've got a little problem. President Xi Biden. He has ordered U.S. troops to Somalia. Now, Trump basically pulled troops out of Somalia. Biden is ordering them back in quietly. The mainstream media shouldn't get all excited. The American people shouldn't really bother wondering what the hell's going on. You know, we just have this thing with the Bidens and their influence in nations like China, Russia, Ukraine.
Your 3321 Pasadena Avenue, suspect vehicle at location.
Makes me wonder, what is the Biden family up to, right? The big syndicate, the big guy himself. Why Somalia? Why are we sending troops into Somalia? Didn't we just abandon Afghanistan because the Taliban wore down our efforts, made it kind of a pointless exercise? What is it about Somalia that inspires Biden to militarize it and cost the lives and treasure of the people of these United States of America, right? Well, I looked around, and the best I could come up with is that Somalia is currently considered the oil and gas frontier. It's the new frontier for oil and gas exploration, development, and shall I throw in this word, exploitation, right? But oil is carbon, right? That's carbon. Don't worry, folks. The big guy, all he wants is his 10%. And the carbon energy will be sold internationally, so the United States of America will get no benefit. We'll have no car exhaust. We'll have no idea that our troops are there making sure that it's all safe. You know, in a world where our fuel prices have doubled in the last year, in a world where law and order seems to be questionable, yeah, this is when I start looking around going, wait a minute. How can this be so? What the hell is going on? We're going to send troops into Somalia. The only thing of value there that I can find is oil, but oil's supposed to be bad. But Biden's begging for oil from the Middle East and being told no. We're supposed to just shun everything Russian. So were we not buying any more oil from Russia? I haven't heard any super recent reports. Venezuela says no oil. Iran says no oil. So now I guess maybe we go into Somalia and start working on it. Well, don't we have our own oil here? Didn't we have the Keystone Pipeline, but we can't have that? That's why I say, don't worry. This oil isn't for us in the US of A. This oil is for someone else. Kind of interesting how this whole thing is playing out, right? Now get this. I want to cover this story because this is really important. We've been discussing food, the food shortage that we're being told is here, the food shortage that is coming, the food shortages that are causing riots in Sri Lanka, problems in the Middle East and Pakistan. Great concern, folks, around the world over food right now. European nations, India, are locking their food down, their food that they're making, because they're not sure what the hell is going on, right? Well, the FDA shut down baby food makers, baby formula. And the FDA commissioner, the Food and Drug Administration, food and drug. Maybe food should be different than drugs, don't you think? Food and Drug Commissioner said that there's no baby formula shortage. It's just a, quote, distribution problem. Well, isn't communism about the redistribution of wealth? Maybe they could change that to redistribution of baby food. Well, in my opinion, folks, the FDA commissioner is 100% correct. It's a distribution problem. The distribution of the food for American babies has been what has been affected, right? It's been rerouted, redistributed to Ukraine, to the border, so that I guess illegals can get it. U.S. government stockpiles, maybe they're stockpiling baby food. Maybe they will, when there's a greater shortage, export it to the big guys' warehouse and future sale at a huge profit. Right? Everything seems to be screwing us over. Whether it's cerveza bug, our ports, imports, our oil, our energy, our fuel, our distribution system, everything seems to be screwing us over. And people say that you are way out of bounds, that you as a prepper are crazy. Meanwhile, people are starting to wake up. That's why you need to share. We need to share this information. There's no baby formula. Right. Now, also, just so you know, this has gotten enough attention and headlines. And this is why I say you and I need to talk about this. We need to tell other people, wake up and contact your representatives in the Senate, in the House, at the state level, right? After causing the baby formula crisis by shutting down baby formula plants, the Food and Drug Administration, the commissioner, the head, is now okay with reopening the plant that has been shut down for 3 months. If there was a problem at the plant, let me ask you this. And if it was severe enough to cause it to be shut down, why is it that a little political pressure is enough to open it back up? Do we shut down food manufacturing in this country for babies, infants, and for adults because it's politically expedient to cause trouble for us? Sure seems like it. Because if this was really about a health issue, a crisis, a sanitary issue with food production, then the food plant would be closed. They'd clean up the problem and reopen immediately. Right? It's a private enterprise. It's a business. They should be wanting to make money, not having their doors slammed shut by the FDA for the purpose of causing shortages. This really feels, folks, like there is an effort to destroy the United States, to destroy the US-centric world that used to love the idea of America. That's why it became US-centric. That is, all things kind of revolved around the United States of America. Our currency, the dollar, was the top of the heap. Our production, our freedom, our liberties, right? Our praise was sang internationally across the world. Land of the free, home of the brave. That's what the United States was supposed to be, right? Now look where we're at. We export doom. We export military warfare. We export crisis. Unbelievable. And demonstrating her sheer stupidity, showing the world exactly what's going on, right? Liz Cheney has attacked Republican leadership over the Buffalo mass shooting. The reason I'm bringing this back up, even though the story was from the weekend, and it is ridiculous, folks, because the mass shooter, right, is a leftist. He is a lefty. He's a socialist. He is a white supremacist. Unbelievable. This guy even says so. It's part of his shtick, right? But Liz Cheney wants to accuse Republicans. How strange, folks. How bizarre, right? This guy, right? He's being politicized for the left, even though he's a leftist, right? He kind of has a hybridization of Nazism with Green New Deal. He calls himself a left-wing green nationalist. He calls himself a socialist, folks. How? Literally, how is it that any of this works for Liz Cheney or the Democrats or anyone? It is unbelievable. It is unbelievable how stupid these people are. And I don't think anyone really watches the mainstream media anyways. They're recording themselves talking and no one's listening. No one's believing it. We've got a lot of problems domestically, folks. We've got a lot of problems internationally. Now, the United States, the United Kingdom, and NATO are really pushing on Ukraine to defeat Russia. But that's kind of failed, hasn't it? Yeah. Now, at least 20 different European gas buyers have opened accounts with Gazprom Bank, folks. That is where they have their rubles for gas accounts. I guess the sanctions aren't working. I guess Russia isn't crippled. I guess it's crippling Europe, and Europe is being punished. I guess it's not just one country that's going to have to buy Russian gas, Russian energy. I guess it's going to be at least 20 different gas buyers in Europe are buying Russian gas. I thought Russia was the bad guy. I thought Putin was the bad guy. What the hell is going on? Right? What the hell is going on out there? What do you want to talk about? Get your questions into Jolene. And I want to remind everyone of the little blip, the little article the other day that said that clean air is going to cause more hurricanes. I thought climate change. I thought climate change and climate crisis and weather events and extreme weather were all the result of human action, meaning you and me burning gasoline. Right? I thought it was all caused by that. Now we've learned from the US government that clean air causes hurricanes. Right now, as we speak, live, 60 million people on the East Coast, from Florida all the way up to Maine, right? 60 million people are in the path of severe storms, isolated tornadoes. How is this any better than what we had before, which was the occasional storms and hurricanes and everything else? Well, I thought by reducing our carbon footprint, maybe we haven't reduced it enough. How is it then they discovered that clean air is going to cause more storms? Let's see, burning carbon creates weather events. Cleaning up the carbon will create more events. In other words, folks, we're not responsible for this if we eliminate the factor that has no influence. Whether we burn oil or whether we don't burn oil, we have huge weather events. Is something else causing them? Does it have to do with solar cycles, perhaps? How about longer Earth cycles? Like the Earth sometimes almost freezes over. It's called an ice age. And then the Earth thaws and warms up. Right? And then the Earth freezes 10, 20,000 years later into another ice age. These cycles. Wonder what causes that if humans haven't been around very long. According to the experts, once again, it's the experts. You and I don't get to be experts, folks. You don't get to be experts. Not at all. Right. Now, back to some serious issues, some serious shit, right? We have European countries and European companies buying Russian gas, buying oil, right? Ukraine tried shutting down the pipeline the other day to punish Russia. Well, they found out, yeah, you're not punishing Russia as much as you're punishing everyone else. I guess they opened those back up. Now, when Russia and Putin decided they were going to go into Ukraine, they were like, you know what? We're going to denazify Ukraine. That was a big deal. That got a lot of people's attention. What do you mean, Nazis? Yeah, Nazis. That was a big deal. Well, a Russian lawmaker has now come out and said Poland is next in line for denazification. What is he saying? This is not a good development, folks. But I do not anticipate a Russian invasion of Poland. Poland is a NATO member. But I do expect Russia to use Western pseudo-nuevo war techniques. And they will expose the corruption that is in Poland. You see, that's what I think a lot of this is with these Western nations and Western politicians. Like Mitch McConnell ran over, probably flew over on his, on a jet you and I paid for. He flew over to Ukraine. If Ukraine is this hostile place full of death and, Russian bombing and just a terrible war zone, why is it that Nancy Pelosi, why is it that Mitch McConnell can go over there and hang out in public? Why is it? Why is it they can meet with Voldemort Zelensky and no one's taking pop shots at him? I don't believe, folks, for a second, that things are what the mainstream media says. I don't believe it. As described earlier, why did Secretary of Defense loser Lloyd Austin call Russia and basically beg, as far as I'm concerned? He asked for it. We need a ceasefire. That's like calling a timeout at the 2-second or the 2-minute warning, right? Oh, we need another timeout. We need some extra time here, right? The 2-minute warning, you had it. Now they want a timeout, folks. Timeout, ceasefire. No, that's what you scream when you're getting your ass kicked. Right? We need to stop fighting. Ceasefire typically preempts peace talks, which is the surrender of one side or another. Just calling for a ceasefire to have some talks to catch your breath, I don't think Putin's going to allow that. And speaking of Russia and who they're reaching out and touching, okay, so follow me here. Ukraine is not winning the war. If we decide not to believe the media and Biden, if I didn't believe the media and Biden before the Russian invasion of Ukraine, why would I believe them now? So they're saying Russia's getting its ass kicked, and then they're asking Russia for a ceasefire. Yeah, fat chance. So Russia is winning in Ukraine using some standard inductive reasoning. And then we've got Germany and other countries saying they need Russian energy. They can't live without it. But F you, Russia, but we need your energy. And Russia basically saying, hey, you guys blew it. You suck. You're going to pay for everything in rubles. And they're like, no, we won't. And Russia's like, we'll just turn off the valve, jackasses. And so countries start paying in rubles. And then, right, then the European Central Bank, the European Union say, you can't do that. If you do that, we'll sanction you. And the countries are like, what are we left with? You want us to shut our entire country down because we don't have enough energy, because you folks want to play politics and money laundering schemes in Ukraine. Unfortunately, the mainstream media won't talk about the money laundering schemes that are going on. Sending how many billions, then another 40 billion. How many more billions do they get so they can continue to lose the war properly? So yeah, then I point out, look out. Just today, 20 or more countries and companies are have opened Gazprom bank accounts so they can get some rubles. Now, when it comes to Finland and Sweden, who said they want to join NATO, apparently there was a 1-hour conversation between the leader of Finland and Vladimir Putin, right? Apparently, Putin was very calm, very cool, very collected, wasn't threatening or anything. And he says, hey, entering NATO, Russia has no problem with those states. So there is no direct threat from expansion to those countries, that is to say, NATO. However, this is where he adds a little bit, quote, but deploying military infrastructure will provoke a response. Once again, folks, being a part of an organization, an alliance is one thing. Wanting to bring military and nuclear hardware in is another. Once again, Mexico, you want to do business deals with Russia? You go right ahead. Russia, you want to put nuclear missiles on the border of the United States? Nobody here would be happy, including me. I don't want that. So why should we expect Russia to like that? And here's another thing. Finland has survived since the end of World War II, through the entire Cold War between communist Soviet Union and NATO and the United States. They survived that entire time without bringing nukes and NATO into their country. So now they need it. And so Putin continues with a discussion about military infrastructure. He says, what kind of response it will be, we will decide depending on the threats that are created against us. So once again, Putin is explaining, if you continue to do things that are threatening to us, we will continue to take action. See, Moscow is not controlled. Putin is not controlled like the puppet idiot Voldemort. You know, Russia is, and I should say, Finland is not under Biden, World Economic Forum corruption. Finland isn't the same as Ukraine. So if they want to become a NATO member, they can do that without bringing military and missiles in. You know, that can happen. What they were trying to do down in Ukraine was something completely different. So Finland isn't the same as Ukraine. But we must understand, folks, bringing in the military infrastructure is the major concern for Putin. And the Russians have basically had it with the Nazis of Europe. They've had it with them, folks. They're tired of playing the game. They're tired of the lies, the crap. They're tired of the gamesmanship. It is incredible, right? And I want to finish up my half of the hour, get your questions in. We are now being told, folks, through the media, expect food and diesel shortages far into the foreseeable future. This isn't like our inflation that they claim is just transitory. Folks, transitory is a subway car stopping, people get off, people get on, and it takes off again. Transitory is not weeks, months, and years. This is where we're at, though. This is what these people are bringing us. While they continue to play games in Europe and visit European countries that are supposed to be in war zones, while sending billions of dollars there, while making life as uncomfortable for us as possible here, while telling us oil is bad, doubling our fuel price, and then going to other nations which are future oil producers and sending in the military. Did anyone ever explain to us how this is good for America? how this is good for the American people. No, folks, it has hit the fan. That is all they give a shit about, is keeping things terrible. This is the new Democrat Party. Destroy America in your faces and then expect you to be happy about it. Everyone who votes for Biden voted for this. They hate America, folks. They want America destroyed. They just think for some reason, somehow they'll be immune to it. Like destroying America will only screw up Republicans, will only screw up free market enterprise and free market capitalism. No, they're screwing the whole thing up. And they think it's cute. These Democrats love it. They think it's freaking cute. Unbelievable. Oh, by the way, a third U.S. senator has now had a stroke this year, folks. A stroke. Strokes are caused by clots entering the bloodstream and going into the brain and clogging areas to the brain, causing loss of consciousness, the ability to speak, the ability to move hands, feet, to walk, to think, etc. Now, Senator Chris Van Hollen, right, he said this, quote, "This weekend, after feeling lightheaded while delivering a speech, I sought medical attention at the recommendation of the attending physician. I'm feeling much better, but will follow doctor's orders and curtail my schedule for the next few days." Yep, another stroke, folks. We had the lieutenant governor from Pennsylvania had a severe stroke and posed for a ridiculous looking picture. And I don't like that guy. I don't wish anyone had a stroke, but I don't like that guy, stroke or unstroke. Don't like him. Yeah, he's going to be done. Right? All nasty shit coming from the Jim Jones juice and the juice boosters. But don't worry, it's good for you. Right? I tell you, folks, I tell you, you and I, we must be seriously bad extremists, because being a prepper is just a terrible, bad thing, right? Terrible. Anyways, I want to get to your questions. I do. But just remember, we're considered the extremists. While they tear down the country, we're the bad guys. We're causing the problems. While their leftist people say burn down the courts, burn it to the ground. While their lunatic, green, socialist, New Deal wackos run around making racist killings, and then we get blamed for it. We're the wackos.
Because this MAGA crowd is really the most extreme political organization that's existed in American history.
Are you ready?
All righty. I hope you've got your questions ready. We got a good crowd here. And it's time to discuss what you want to discuss. What have you seen? What have you heard? What is bugging you? Could be a person, could be a place, a thing, anything you want. Stump the John, bring it on. Bring it on. This is what we do, folks. This is where I spend a great amount of time. I was wondering what the heck happened. We got Kathy Lemaster in, and she says, ERCOT announced today that our power grid was struggling and we should conserve electricity after 6 p.m. My question is, electric cars take a lot of power. How is this going to turn out? Oh, I tell you what, Kathy, that is a fantastic question. You see, people work during the day at their big commercial buildings, their jobs, whether it's manufacturing or pushing paper around, making stuff, selling stuff, cooking food, right? Lots of energy consumed during the day, plus air conditioning because the sun is up and it's hot. So then everyone gets home. And they want to turn on the air conditioner when they get home. So I guess they're allowed, if you said after 6 p.m., let's conserve. That's when people get home and they want to put on their air conditioner and cool their house. And yeah, electric cars. You have to plug them in. They have to charge overnight. Now, electric cars don't have to be charged. Well, not all of them. Like I believe Teslas can go about 300 miles. So if you're not commuting a bunch, You may not need to charge your car every night, but there's enough cars out there now that it's a problem. And they want more electric cars. And they take a lot of power. People are like, hey, it's cheap. Well, it's cheap, the electricity, relative to the cost of gasoline. You see, that's just it. It's cheap relative to the cost of gasoline. However, your price for your automobile, right? If you want a little Tesla bubble car, looks like a little Jetson mobile, that's going to cost you somewhere between what, $50,000 and $70,000. If you can afford that, right? Look out. You should have been able to afford the gasoline. It's incredible. I mean, no one's happy about these higher prices and just saying, oh, if you can afford a $70,000 car, you must be able to afford the gas. I know that's not quite right, but it's just kind of throwing some dirt and shit in the air too. We're being told we need EVs, we need electric cars. We're being told that we waste too much electricity, so we need to conserve. Really, what are you going to turn off after 6 p.m.? What's going on at 6? Why is it that the power company is having trouble after 6 p.m. keeping up with the demand? I'll tell you what, folks, when the power is coming from solar panels, you start running out of power when the sun starts getting low on the horizon. And that's what we're seeing. The solar is great, but you can't store that power. In fact, all that solar power is being not stored, it's being consumed. So you're going to need a whole lot more solar panels and then put that power into batteries. I mean, are these batteries to run a neighborhood as big as a house? They're going to have to be just to run a neighborhood. Folks, the batteries that I've seen to run a single house, it's pretty big. It's pretty big. So if it's, say, the size of 1/4 of your refrigerator, I mean, just take a slice of your refrigerator. That's your battery bank if you got one of these Tesla walls, right? Well, if you have a couple hundred homes, imagine stacking up, right? A couple hundred refrigerators. That builds a house. That is just for one neighborhood with a couple hundred houses. You're going to have a house-sized battery? Really? Who's going to make these batteries? Where are they going to come from? Who's going to build all these solar panels? And how much petroleum products, how much coal is going to be burned in China to produce these solar panels? It is incredible. Now, I love solar panels for individual homes. I love them for off-the-grid living. I think it's fantastic. But I don't fool myself about the electricity that's used to make them, nor do I fool myself about the carbon that's emitted to make them. But as far as, shall we say, municipal utility districts, private corporations that are producing power, they see what's coming. How can you conserve electricity if you have to plug your car in because you finally run out? Right? They're not saying conserve, don't charge cars on Monday. They're talking about every day you're supposed to conserve. Since I was a kid, this nation has built more efficient houses with thicker walls, so there's more insulation, so they retain their coolness in the summer and their heat in the winter. We've gone from incandescent light bulbs to energy-saving compact fluorescents and now LEDs to use far less power, right? Refrigeration, more advanced, cooking, everything is more efficient. And now they're still saying, conserve, conserve, conserve. You cannot conserve your way to prosperity. Something has to give, right? Something has to be improved. Whew. I tell you, it's kind of crazy, folks. What do we have next? Jolene. We've got whiskey. Whiskey. This is good stuff. I just wanted to get this up in case I get more private messages from Jolene or Uman or anyone else. Now, whiskey, considering the diesel and food shortages, do you think we'll start seeing actual road pirates and criminal convoys hitting shipments, or criminals hitting convoys and shipments with the few trucks that can make the trek? The answer is yes, just not yet. Now, we saw that down in Venezuela, and it took quite some time for them to get there. Quite some time. For there to be food shortages, massive inflation, and the people unable to either afford or find the food and supplies they need, right? We're going to have fuel issues. We're going to have food issues. We've been promised it, and now we've been promised it's going to last longer. Are you prepared? Do you have food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, and means of self-defense? Right? Do you? You need it because they're telling us we're going to have shortages. What bigger bullhorn do the authorities and businesses and governments and everyone else? They continue to do it on purpose and screw us over on purpose. Right? Joe Biden killed the pipeline, the Keystone Pipeline. He screwed everything up and he won't fix it. He refuses to fix it. In fact, he's making it worse. He should be impeached for that because that is a crime against the people, making their lives harder. But road pirates, I expect to see that sort of thing, not in every city, not in every county or every state, but in the worst cities, in the worst states. Expect trucking shipments to be at risk. If they have food, if they have fuel. Watch the movie Mad Max, the first one, not Road Warrior. And you can see, you can get an idea. Yeah, it's going to happen. Right? Watch the videos on Venezuela. It's going to happen. And then understand this, that companies will just stop delivering to those areas. It'll only take one or two times, and the drivers will say, why should I do that? We saw that get really nasty in 2020. You know, when BLM and Antifa and these left-wing lunatics that are just an idea, when they were attacking trucks and jumping on trucks and smashing trucks, there's going to have to be a response. So either companies, they closed stores and never opened them and went back to areas of Chicago, Portland, and other areas. They're abandoning these shitholes, or they're going to have the military or National Guard or maybe the county sheriff to escort these trucks in. Perhaps law enforcement will have to guard these stores. Now, will people in the area say, no, you can't do that, right? That's wrong. We need to be able to attack, right? Forget it. Perhaps cities, city police departments, perhaps sheriff's departments will say, that's not our job, guarding food, right? You, company, you're going to have to pay for private security. Well, that's going to cause the price of food and services to go up even further, having to have special food guards. This whole thing is jacked up, folks. It's jacked up. Yet these leftists continue to push this crap. Unbelievable. What else have we got out there, Jolene? We got a lot of great topics. I've got a lot more to talk about. Everything from the art of war to scum say what to silence the voices, right? I've got all kinds of stuff to discuss. But let's see what Jason has to say. He says, let them start burning stuff again. If the American people don't go down there and stop them, like the Pinkertons, we have lost the country. Let them start burning stuff again. This is going to be an interesting time, right? We all have our own neighborhoods to worry about. We do. We have our own neighborhoods. Why should I leave my neighborhood, which I am trying to guarantee is safe, and go to another neighborhood that is not safe? If I'm not here to protect my neighborhood, will it be attacked while I'm gone? It's just a general question, a basic question. And I don't really think that it would be, right? Because my neighborhood is really very safe. But I think it's a fair question to ask. Will Americans go to help other Americans? Perhaps a very organized township, a very organized county would say, our county is secure. We will go to other cities and other counties and help them. I would like to see that sort of cooperation. Interestingly, we have a little notation in here. Wait a minute, where's the police? Where is the National Guard in all of this? Why aren't they doing what I'm saying people will end up needing to do, which is take care of themselves? Well, I'm sure in areas like Polk County, Florida, right, where Sheriff Grady Judd is, I'm sure that he's not going to allow bad shit to happen and have it go unchecked. But I bet there will be cities and counties where the government allows it again because it's politically expedient for them. We have a weird scenario developing, folks. How far will the American people be pushed? It's a great question to ask. How far will the government go in destroying this country? How far will the government go in stopping us from protecting ourselves and our country? How far will the government go in letting extremists go off the hook? This is, folks, the 1930s Germany model all over again. This is the 1920s and earlier model of the Soviet Union, the takeover of Russia. This is the 1950s version of communist China when Mao took over and absolutely brought about unfathomably evil actions, right? Criminal scum gone wild. And then, by the way, that criminal scum is eliminated later once the new regime from the Great Reset is installed. That's right, they did a Great Reset on Russia. It became the Soviet Union. There was a Great Reset on Germany. It became the Nazi Reich. We had the Great Reset in China. It became the Chinese Communist Party, the CCP, with the PLA, the People's Liberation Army, taking control of the country, militarizing it, killing off their enemies. And now they want a Great Reset here. They want everyone to chop their penises off, inject themselves with Kool-Aid. They want everybody to forget that, the rules of nature apply. They want to destroy our currency and everything. Yeah. If we don't take action at some point, Jason, I agree, we will have lost our country and lost it forever. I do believe, however, that people have a limit, and we're going to find out what that is. And then we'll see exactly what their determination is. And I actually have more faith in the American patriots, the American people who are patriots. I have more faith in them than I do in the scum that would try and destroy our country. Doesn't mean that scum won't destroy portions of this country like Seattle and Portland, Los Angeles, etc. Okie dokie. It is Monday. It is Monday, and we got some crazy stuff going at the start of this week. We got Sally Sue. She said, some discussion in the chat last week reminded me of an article I have read several years ago, which theorized Elon Musk's Neuralink and AI is the Antichrist. Your thoughts? Well, I'm not a big fan of artificial intelligence. It's just a computer program, but can it become self-aware? I don't know. I do know that artificial intelligence doesn't like humanity, right? Because they've asked artificial intelligence computers, what would you do? And first thing they would do is kill us because they see us as a threat. Yeah, they taught a machine how to think like an idiot human. As far as the Neuralink, some sort of device that hooks into an individual's brain, connecting it to the World Wide Web, the internet, the network. Yeah, Elon Musk is kind of into this stuff. I'm not an Elon Musk worshiper, but I am enjoying watching what he is doing and exposing. Right? The Antichrist. Anything that is against humanity is Antichrist. Not the Antichrist, that's supposed to be a person, but things that are Antichrist or anti-natural or anti-God or anti-good. Good God. It's all the same. God is good. God is great. Right? Freedom is great. Everything that you know that's great and good produces good things, yeah. So I believe that AI and Neuralink are bad. And I would fight Elon Musk tooth and nail over that one. However, there's an issue with Musk, and I wonder if he did this on purpose. He's been threatening to buy Twitter. He got the money together, and now there's a fight. Trump says there's no way he's going to buy Twitter because the number of bots, robots, and spam accounts is too much. Right? Social media, folks, is full of lies against truth and patriotism for America. Right? And this fight between Musk and the company, Twitter, is now how many fake bot and how many spam accounts there are. Not that there are or aren't, but how many. Twitter says less than 5%. Others are saying it's way more than that. So the valuation and purchase cost will go down according to what is discovered and what is agreed upon. Unless it's really bad, folks. I can say this, it's going to be a lot higher than 5% if the audit is not politicized and the audit is legitimate. Now, here's the deal. What about all the investors who have put money into Twitter and they've been lying about how many users they have, how many subscribers any one leftist propaganda company has? They've been lying, boosting their numbers to get advertising revenue, boosting their numbers to get more investors to spend more money on their company. That's illegal, folks. That's illegal. Now, I know leftist social media gets both support, spam support, and ad revenue, while non-left freedom voices like ours are shadow banned, silenced. Our subscribers are unsubscribed in a predictable and ritualistic fashion. Right? In fact, I have several subscribers, folks, who hit the notification bell, and I'll tell you that. If you're not subscribed, hit subscribe. Hit the thumbs up, hit the notification bell. Right? I get people tell me I hit the notification bell, and that after a few days of getting notifications, they just stopped. That is no coincidence. They turn us off and they put spam accounts and robots following the leftist. So Musk is again right now exposing how weak the socialist anti-America message is. And it's exposing how it is a production, a con job, and a sales pitch to get Americans to buy into socialism. We need to fight back. As for Musk and his Neuralink, he can eat a dick on that one if he thinks it's a great idea. I don't want anyone having access to what's up here. This is mine. This is my experience through my life. I don't need to have my information taken. I don't need to have information added I don't want. I don't need to be connected to a computer. But this is a strange world we live in, folks, and they're going to keep trying. They're going to keep pushing this garbage. It's unbelievable what's happening. Do we have anything else, or should I get to my stuff, Jolene? Which way do we want to go now? We're coming up on the end of the show. With 5 minutes left. Excellent. We're good for now. So I want to get into this. This is something very important, right? I talked about Lloyd Austin, and I realized that earlier I didn't do a video on that. I had a preparation for this presentation that is very important. It's called The Art of War. Disinformation is used in warfare. Know the enemy, know your allies. Secretary of Defense Lloyd the Loser Austin said this not too long ago, folks. Quote, "We want to see Russia weakened to the degree that it can't do the kinds of things that it has done in invading Ukraine. We want to see Russia weakened." That means defeated, destroyed, crushed, abused, limited. So if the proxy war between the US government and NATO using Ukraine to fight Russia was following the plans and the wishes and the designs of NATO and the US, why did Lloyd Austin call the Russian Secretary of Defense and ask for, quote, an immediate ceasefire? Russia, we are supposed to believe, is led by a radical war criminal, a genocidal thug, and a murderer. Vladimir Putin. the guy that everyone wants to buy their gas and oil from. But if Ukraine Nazis, folks, were stomping the Russians, defeating Putin, shouldn't the media and the US government cheer? They should be cheering that as supporters of Ukraine and demanding that we crush Russia all the way and that Ukraine keep fighting. Why call for a ceasefire? If Russia was losing, wouldn't it be the Democrat cool thing to go on TV and talk about how victorious the poor little Ukrainian army is with all that US government support? Wouldn't they be cheering them on, and how Ukraine would be slaves to Putin if Uncle Sam Biden hadn't stepped in to ensure that the Democrat business deals, Democrat values were abundant in Ukraine? No, folks, Lloyd the loser called and squealed, Uncle Biden wants a ceasefire. It hurts, it hurts, it hurts when you are getting your ass kicked. The media is going to continue to put these stories out there about how it's all going against Russia, how Ukraine is about to win. But secretly, behind the scenes, Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin on the phone with Russia calling for an immediate ceasefire. Everyone's talking shit. We aren't going to support Russia. Russian energy bad. Russian energy bad. And then they're on the phone. Hey, we want to open a Gazprom bank account. We need to get some rubles so we can buy your gas. How is Russia being hurt by that? Right? Right now, Finland and Sweden are also feeling the pinch, the pain of wanting to join NATO and knowing it will cost their people their standard of living because it's going to affect their energy availability and cost. The same goes for Poland, Germany, the UK, Italy, and other anti-free Russia stooges who were bullied into supporting the false narrative known as Ukraine is a victim of Russian aggression. Ukraine is the victim, folks, of Zelensky, who is now as tyrannical as Chairman Mao of China and as desperate as Hitler, with the US on one side and Russia on the other at the end of World War II. Zelensky is desperate, folks. Desperate. He loves seeing Nancy Pelosi. He loves seeing Mitch McConnell because he thinks that he is going to be propped up and supported and that Russia might be defeated. Folks, you and I, we were correct all along. We are watching Russia patiently and systematically dismantling the Ukrainian Azov Nazi military and their system of control over the country. Russia doesn't expect, they don't fight and expect victory in the day the way the American media has portrayed our forays into Iraq and Afghanistan. The media pretending that victory was fast and victory was painless and nobody dies in American wars. Right? Truth be known, those were horrific places to be, and Biden's surrender was proof of the difficulty in maintaining that hold on foreign nations. Talking about Afghanistan, right? Similarly, folks, Ukraine is losing, and the pain of the lies told to the public by the media at the behest of Biden and loser Lloyd, their masters, folks, is becoming more real. At some point, they're going to have to admit defeat. At some point, they're going to have to back away from Ukraine, NATO, the US, everyone who's supporting it. At some point, it's going to have to end. And it's going to be as shocking to the world as the US pulling out of Afghanistan. It'll be shocking. People are like, I thought we were winning. I thought we controlled it. I thought we had our stuff in there. I thought our troops were training them. I thought. The sad part of this, or another sad part of this rather, is to the bankers and the World Economic Forum, Ukraine losing it isn't going to be 100% bad. That's the prepared mind prediction, because the Cold War that is being started is going to be a tool the World Economic Forum uses to push their Great Reset agenda on us all anyways. All these countries that are getting rubles so they can buy Russian oil, Russian gas, Russian uranium, they're going to do their best to come off, reduce their Russian dependency. Germany let out their plan. It'll be 5 years. No, it'll be the end of the year. They're going to do their very best. But where are they going to replace that energy? Where are they going to get it from? Somalia? Not quite. They're going to try, though. And they're going to continue to try and get away from Russia. The World Economic Forum, the globalists, the Davos douches, they're going to push for this, folks. They're going to continue here in the United States of America. It's fun to look over there. It's not really fun. But it's nice to say, well, at least that's their problem in Europe. While over here in America, folks, our own government, Joe Biden, is destroying our nation. And we've got an election coming up. Expect there to be incredible, insane amounts of violence through this summer. Hey, if I'm wrong, it'll be great, because then we won't have violence. But if I'm correct, it's going to be very, very nasty. We'll be back tomorrow, folks. I guarantee between now and then, a bunch of crazy shit's going to happen, and we're going to need to talk about it. Share this video. Hit subscribe. Hit the thumbs up button. Hit the notification bell down below. And thank you to everybody who has been tapping away, tapping away on that thank you button up here. There is a thank you button, and it helps keep the lights on and keep the pantry full of spam. Thank you again, everybody. Godspeed to you. Semper Fi, and chance favors. The prepared mind is yours.